selling a home and buying a home in the same area, it's really important to use the same agent on the listing and the buy side. Let's talk about why that is so important. Okay, so the other day I was on the phone. I had a lady give me a call. She said she was looking for an agent to help her buy a new home. Through that conversation, I found out that she had an existing home to sell. When I asked her about who was helping her sell the home, she said, "Oh, I've already got a listing agent." I asked her the obvious question is, "Well, how come your agent isn't helping you buy a home as well?" She said, "Well, my agent said she just didn't have time to take me out and look for a new home." Hello? Let's talk a little bit about what's wrong with that and why it is so critical, and I think is very important for you to use or select an agent that has the capability to help you on both sides of this transaction. Okay, the obvious thing is, number one is your agent has already raised their hand and said, "I don't have time for you," right? I mean, I thought that was pretty obvious. However, maybe some people don't look at it that way. So there's two dynamics that are happening anytime you buy and sell residential real estate. You've got the actual, just the transaction itself and all the timelines and milestones and contractual dates and obligations that need to be met. Then you've got the second dynamic, and that is all the emotional pieces to it. You've got a lot of emotion wrapped around residential properties when you're buying and selling. On each home, you've got the listing home, and you've also got your new home that you're buying. You've got a buyer and seller on this side and a buyer and a seller on this side. Very emotional for all of those parties, right? This is the house that, for buyers, this is going to be the home that they're going to be building their dreams and all the different emotions that are attached to that and all the memories. Then you've got the sellers on both sides. These are the homes that maybe they had wonderful memories with or disappointing memories in, or who knows what's going on. But there's a lot of emotion attached with those parties. And you've got to manage those emotions. When you inject a high level of emotion with those on both sides of that, who knows? Believe me, anything can happen, and things kind of spiral out of control. So you've got to have a really talented agent that's able to actually work on all those emotions. Usually you've got agents involved, right? So you're going to have multiple agents on the buy, sell on one side and on the other side. Anytime you inject another party involved with that whole process, it just opens it up to be more and more complicated. So let's talk about the first dynamic first. All right, let's talk about just the linear transaction. We just call it transaction management of getting things done in a timely manner. So you contractually have a contract in place. One of the biggest concerns that most buyers and sellers have is, am I going to own two houses at once? Am I going to get stuck with two mortgages? Or worse yet, a bigger fear that they have is, am I going to be homeless? What's going to happen if one sells and I can't get the other one? Am I going to have to go and rent someplace? And how expensive is that going to be? So it's a very emotional period of time. So having a single agent that has a team or a resources behind them to manage that entire process, to make sure that everything gets done in a timely fashion, you negotiate strongly on every single one of those points, is going to benefit you tremendously. Once again, anytime you inject a different party into that process, it just complicates things. Maybe the two agents, your agent on the selling side, your listing agent, and your buyer agent, they just kind of butt heads. Maybe they don't communicate very well. Maybe one's not returning phone calls or text messages because they don't really care what's happening on the other side. They're only concerned about their piece, right? So those things occur, and they occur a lot. So anytime you can eliminate that from that whole transaction piece, it's much better off. You also have lenders involved. Anytime you close with different closing attorneys, maybe you're closing with one closing attorney on your listing side, and then you got a closing attorney on your buy side. Anytime you have two different closing attorneys, You've got a lot of communication that has to occur, transferring of funds, transferring of the contracts. A lot of different things fall apart in that whole process. A good agent will come in and negotiate having one closing attorney doing both sides of the contract for you. They already have everything in place. It's all under one roof. So there's none of this risk of having things fall apart. So that's really, really critical from a timeline, transaction management. I already talked a little bit about the dynamic of the emotional piece and how complicated that gets involved. Once again, you've got buyers and sellers on each home. So you got a buyer and seller in the listing, buyer and seller on the buy side. You also have agents. Remember, this is how we get paid. Agents get paid when we get closings. So you got a lot of emotions with agents. Some agents don't communicate very well with each other. So anytime you can eliminate more agents being involved, it's going to end up being a better experience for you. Hopefully, that whole conversation helps you understand just how critical it is to find an agent or agency that has resources to be able to manage both your listing and sell your home and also the purchase side as well. One cohesive agency or agent to be able to help you out with that whole process. If you have any questions, comments, having further discussion, reach out to us. We'd love to have that with you. Other than that, hopefully you're having a good one and this was super helpful for you. Thanks.